to US, and these are the main reasons on why it's a very attractive destination for the applicants to be there, because it allows family to migrate. It has a cultural diversities. I'm sure every person who's attending today would have somebody or the other who are related and at the moment are in US. Competitive personal tax rates. The overall standard of living is fantastic to be offered, especially to your children and your offsprings. The infrastructure is one of the other reasons why sometimes clients would prefer to enter there. The entrepreneurial spirit, all these big companies like Google, etc., all come from US, and that makes it more preferred destination. And love of audacity and innovation is another reason why this is a very, very preferred destination. Smart Move Immigration has an advantage in terms of representing clients, since we have industry specializations. We have a very, very objective approach. We have excellent facilitation skills, and we're very focused on the end results and implementations on the end results up over here. So that's the confidence why the client instructs us. And these are our presence in India. Now, moving on to our today's guest, Ms. Dobrina. She is a qualified immigration attorney from Dallas in Texas, and her firm has been representing clients in corporate immigration, private individuals. She's represented students, and they do a variety of complex cases as far as USA immigration is concerned. It's a very proud and privileged moment to have her with us as a guest today, because she's going to give us the first-hand information about the impact that that COVID has in US immigration. And trust me, we as a firm have been receiving lots of queries every day from the clients to say what are our thoughts on, how is it going to kind of impact students, going to impact the decisions for the employers who have plans to expand in the UK, in the US, or the investors who propose to move to US under the investment visa route. And therefore, with all these queries, the thought process was, let's call our guest and let's get all that information from her to say on what would be the pathway now, given the chaotic situation that we all are into at this moment. And so as it is, the USA challenges were not less, and now the COVID's added to those challenges there.
Right.
So I'm sure she's got some magic around it. And please welcome Ms. Dobrina. Thank you so very much for being here today and speaking to our clients and our prospective clients. A warm welcome to you.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm happy to be here and hopefully share somewhat useful information for your clients and everybody who has joined us. Just a quick.
Okay.
All right. So hello everyone. My name is Dobrina Ustun, and I'm a US-based immigration attorney. My office is in Dallas, Texas. However, we serve clients from pretty much around the world, and clients of course, from India, in different capacities, either as an employer or our investor or a startup, or family or individuals. So as everybody knows, COVID has impacted everybody. And we have had and still have, of course, some turbulent times in terms of mobility. I mean, I'm not even talking about, getting your visa, or scheduling your appointment with the consulate. It has been challenging, I want to say 4 years, going into the 5th for multiple reasons, and of course COVID being one of them. the good news, if there's a good news, and I don't want to jinx it, is that US is somewhat reopening. People are starting to sort of feel slightly more comfortable and confident that the economy is, moving forward. Companies are starting to, look around, to sponsor, to hire people. So that's the good news that we have seen in the last, I want to say, couple months. Probably due to the vaccine and COVID infectious rate going down in the United States. Now, having said that, of course, we have the India, ban due to the situation in India. So, we see all these challenges now with, people traveling, just the traveling by itself. So, in the presentation, I'm gonna cover a few topics. So this is the outline. So I'm gonna just the recent updates, what has happened in the last couple of months that might impact people. So we have the India travel ban, obviously, and we have the revival of the International Entrepreneur Parole Program. So I'm gonna go over that and kind of give you a little bit of a background. So what's happening with the India travel ban? As probably everybody is aware, the United States banned entry of non-immigrants and non-citizens who were present in the Republic of India in the 14-day period. So basically, if you're not a US citizen or a green card holder right now, you won't be able to enter the United States, assuming that you were in India for the last 14 days. So that's a challenge. Also, the other challenge is because of the pandemic, the U.S. mission in India has closed the U.S. consulates and the embassies. Some have limited operations. At least that's what we hear. I believe. The one in Mumbai just tweeted yesterday or a couple of days ago that if you're planning to go for a visa, you better plan for at least a few months, since they don't even offer services, or it's just emergency appointments. So as a result of COVID, we have seen a lot of delays. We have seen people who who work in the US, let's say on H-1B, and went to India for stamping, and now they're stuck. They cannot come back for because of the ban, and obviously the consulate is not working. So how does the ban work? So basically, the ban, if you're a non-citizen, if you're a non-US citizen, and you're not a green card holder, you cannot enter the United States. So that's basically the idea behind it. Now, of course, there are exceptions. And so if you're a green card holder, if you're a US citizen, if you're a spouse of a US citizen or permanent resident, you can enter the United States. Also, if you're not a citizen, but you have US citizen children who are under 21, you can also enter the United States. You don't have to be with your children. That's one of the questions that we get. Oh, do we have to be travel with our children? No, you don't, but you have to present birth certificates. So to show that you have somebody who is a US citizen in the United States. Now, also, if you're traveling on behalf of the U.S. government, you're also exempt from the ban. Also, if you're a non-immigrant, if you can get the national interest exception, you will be able to travel to the United States. So for the national interest exception to work, there are certain categories that are eligible. That will be if you're an immigrant, if you're applying for an immigrant visa, fiance visa. And one of the big question now is with students. So we get a lot of questions with students. Oh, like thousands of different scenarios. Unfortunately, the Department of State has been pretty vague in terms of, who can enter and, when you can enter. So for right now, you can qualify for the national interest exception only if your academic program or OPT begins August 1st, 2021 or later. So you can enter the United States 30 days prior to your program. Well, that's very nice, but we have students who are currently on OPT and are in India, or their program doesn't start on August 1st. So what happens to, what happens to these people? Basically, what we advise them and what we kind of sort of got from the Department of State is you have to contact your consulate and make sure that you are you're part of that national interest exception. Now, one thing about the national interest exception and how they make those decisions, they actually have pretty broad authority to issue the national interest exception. So even if you think that you might not qualify for whatever reason, it's always advisable to reach out to them and see if actually they might give it to you. So that would be my advice on in terms of whether you can get it or whether you qualify, because as of right now they haven't really address each specific situation. And I know there's a lot of people in different situations, especially with students traveling back and forth. Next slide. So yeah, this is again in terms of the students, as I said, 30 days prior to your program, if your program starts August 1st, 2021 or later. Also, if you're traveling on behalf of the US government or providing critical infrastructure, you will get the national interest exception. Just one example, as of yesterday, I have a client who has been sort of stuck for the last, at least a year in India, who is the CFO of a local company, and he was able to get the national interest exception because he, basically he's the CFO of the company, and without him, the company might not survive here in the United States. So just one example is, who can get the national interest exception, and obviously journalists are part of the exception. So this is, in a nutshell, the travel ban. One thing that actually I didn't mention here, my first point was that the travel ban is for people who have been 14 days present in India, 14-day period before they enter the United States. So I'm hearing that some people are traveling to a third country that doesn't require visa for Indian citizens. They're waiting there 14 days and then they enter the United States. So that that might be an option, because the 14-day, it says only that if you've been in India. Now, if you spend 14 days in Mexico and then enter the United States, you won't be part of the ban. So just a thought on that for people who might want to consider that option. Okay, so the next update that we have is the International Entrepreneur Program, Parole Program. We are somewhat excited about it because this actually was kicked off in 2017. And then with the change of administration, it was put on hold. And now they revived it. So this, obviously not everybody will qualify for that, but will give some options for people who want to have a startup in the United States and are backed by VCs and angel investors and so forth. So basically, under the rule, the DHS may use parole authority to grant a period of stay. It's up to 5 years. It's on a case-by-case basis for foreign entrepreneurs who demonstrate that their stay in the United States would provide a significant benefit through their business venture, and then that they marry a favorable exercise of discretion. So it's discretionary, it's not a visa, it's not a status, you will be paroled in the United States. Under the rule, entrepreneurs granted parole will be eligible to work only for their startup business. So you cannot work for different companies. The spouse and children of the foreign entrepreneur might be eligible for the parole as well. Spouses can receive work authorization and will be present in the United States as parolees, and children are not eligible to work. It might be granted for up to 3 entrepreneurs per startup entity. So that's the definition of the International Entrepreneur Parole Program. Again, it's not a visa, it's not a status, and it won't lead to a permanent residence. I just want to put that out there because people have started asking already, oh, can I apply for green card after, after I enter under this program? The answer is no, perhaps later at some point, but this will not lead to a permanent residency. So who is eligible? So the applicant must have established U.S. startup business within the 5 years of the parole, of the application for parole. The applicant must hold ownership interest in the startup, at least 10%. Let me just move here. And the applicant must have an active and essential role in the operation of the business and not merely an investor. So sometimes people ask, well, do I actually have to do anything, or can I just put my money and see what happens? No, you have to operate the business. And the startup must have received capital investment at least of $250,000 from qualified U.S. investors, or at least $100,000 in grants or awards from qualifying your federal, state, or local government entities. Foreign nationals who are particularly satisfied the funding criteria must provide additional compelling evidence of the startup's substantial potential for growth and job creation. So number 4 is, it's a lot of people say, well, it's very limited, who gets the $150,000 from VCs or angel investors? And if I have that kind of money, I can apply for other things, like other visa, like an E2 investor visa, if you're eligible, or L1 and so forth. Well, they unfortunately, some of the other visas that are available, you will not qualify for with money from VCs or angel investors, because for others, startups or other possibilities that you can have a visa, investor visa in the United States, it's actually you have to show that it's your money. So this particular program will give opportunities to startups that have investors, startups that have, or the government is investing in your startup and you're getting grants from the government. So it's, again, not everybody qualifies for it, but I'm sure that there will be people who will be eligible for this and won't be eligible for anything else. So it just provides us with a small door provides people with small door to enter the United States under this program. Approved entrepreneurs are paroled into the United States for initial period for up to 30 months with authorization to work for the startup only. You cannot be freelancing for other companies. Extension for 30 months is possible, but obviously you have to demonstrate that the business continues to operate and the entrepreneur retains at least 5% ownership interest in the business, and it has created at least 5 qualifying jobs, or received at least $500,000 in qualifying investments, government grants or awards, or generated at least $500,000 in U.S. revenue, an average 20% annual growth. So these are the last 3. You have to satisfy only one. Are the requirements for the extension. So I hope this is somewhat helpful. People might want to think about it. If you're in that position, now you will have another option or the only option to actually come to the United States and run a business. So, so those are the 2 updates that I had for the last month and a half from the United States, the India travel ban, unfortunately, and on the good side is the entrepreneur parole that they enacted again. So in terms of what are other options, I'm going to go over some of the more common ways that I have seen Indian nationals enter the United States mostly to run a business or to live here. So we have it's called the L1A new office. We have seen this quite often from people from India, who basically have the requirement is you have to have a company in India, and then you have to come to the United States to open up a subsidiary of that company, and you can transfer yourself as either the CEO or a manager in the United States office. Definition is L1A visa is a temporary visa which allows qualified overseas companies to relocate foreign qualified employees to the United States, to its US parent branch, affiliate, or subsidiary of that company. There are specific requirements for the employer, specific requirements for the employee, and additional requirements for the new office. So this type of visa, so it's two types. It's the L1A, it's the intercompany transfer that big companies use to transfer their managers from India to the United States. And the new office is for smaller companies. You have an office in India, and then you wanna have an office in the United States. And you want to transfer yourself to the United States, and you want to run the business from here and hire employees. So next slide. So the specific requirements for the employees: the employee must have worked abroad for the overseas company for continuous period of 1 year within the last 3 years immediately preceding the admission to the United States. So you have to show that you worked 1 year for your company in India. The employee must have been employed abroad, abroad as an executive or a managerial position. The employee must come to the United States to provide services in an executive or managerial capacity. So it's not for everybody. You have to show that you've been manager or an executive in the India entity, and then you have to come to the United States in the same capacity, either as an executive or as a manager. If it's a new office, let's say you don't have an entity in the United States, and that's your main purpose, to come and open up an entity, the company must have secured a sufficient physical premise to house the new office. Basically, you have to get an office. The employee had been employed as an executive manager for 1 year before they come to the United States, and the new office will support the said executive or manager. So the support meaning financially, your India company must support you in terms of salary and other expenses during that 1 year. So we have to show that the India company is actually profitable and is doing well in order to make the argument that it will support the US entity for that 1 year. And it's required a 5-year business plan. When we're going to have a new office, we have to have that 5-year business plan with hiring projections, marketing studies, and so forth. Next. So that was, in short, that was for L1A. As I said, it's widely used, especially from people from India, because if you're Indian national, you don't qualify for the E2, which is the other investor visa that a lot of other countries utilize. But since India does not have a E2 treaty with the United States, that's not an option. Therefore, a lot of Indian companies, when they want to expand into the United States, they go through the L1A new office route. Or if they already have an office in the United States, but they want to transfer their manager or an executive from India office to the US office, that's one way to do it. And that way, you don't have to go through the H-1B madness or other options that are not available. The other option that I have seen for people from India, people from India that are already in the United States or are in India, is the O1 extraordinability, and that's the visa. So what happens is a lot of people apply for the H-1B, it's a lottery, they don't get it. And then what do you do from here? Well, some of them will qualify for the O1 extraordinability. and you have to have an employer or an agency of some sort to sign off on the documents and provide the contract. So it's not a self-petition. You still have to be sponsored. But the good thing about the O1 is if you qualify is there's no lottery. It's given for initial 3 years, and then you have indefinite extensions every 3 years until either you find something else or you move back to to your home country. So what is required for the O1? Evidence that the beneficiary has received major international recognized awards such as the Nobel Prize or at least 3 of the following. So usually people go with at least 3 of the following. Not everybody has received the Nobel Prize. So what are the 3 of the following? So you have to have a receipt of national or international recognized prizes, or membership in association in a field that requires outstanding achievements, or published material in professional or major trade publication, newspapers, or other major media, or original scientific, scholarly, or business-related contributions to the field, authorship of scholarly articles in professional journals, high salary or other remuneration for services, and obviously you have to show that you've made the money, participation in a panel or individually as a judge of the work of others, and employment in a critical essential capacity for organizations and establishments that have distinguished reputation. So it might sound scary, but in reality, there are people who actually satisfy at least 3 of these requirements. And it's just, of course, it's not everybody, but we have the clients, software developer, for example, that has developed this unique tax software that he's probably the only one in the United States that has that particular product. And obviously, as a result of that, he has been on a panel judging startups. He has published a couple things, and he has joined different organizations as a member. So here we go. We have the three requirements. So it is worth, let's say if you're in the United States or in India and you didn't make the H-1B cap, depending on your qualifications and situation at the moment, it might be worth exploring one of these options. Okay, next. And this is the other type of visa. Actually, this is a green card that I have seen people use to come to either they're in the United States or they're outside the United States and applying for a green card. So this is the EB-1A, this is extraordinary ability, but the green card. So we have the O1 was the visa, generally easier to get than the green card. So for the green card, here's what happens, especially for Indian nationals. So usually you are either in the United States or planning to come to the United States, and the employer will sponsor for green card. And you're gonna be either in the EB2 category or the EB3 employment-based category. And if you're in one of those or both, you're waiting for your green card for 10 years, 20 years because of the backlogs. So at least what I have seen is some people, obviously you have to qualify, they want to sort of upgrade to the EB1 extraordinary ability, which is current at the moment, meaning that you can file for your permanent residency at the time of application. So there's a lot of people are trying to do that, and some are qualified and some are not. So it has been certainly in the last few years, especially with the backlogs that we have seen. One of the things that people will try to do. It doesn't work for everybody. As I said, you have to be qualified. And what are the qualifications? Again, you have to meet 3 out of the 10 criteria. or provide evidence of one-time achievement, like, you know, an Oscar, Olympic medal, and so forth. Obviously, again, we go with the three out of the 10 criteria. Not everybody has an Oscar or, you know, like a Nobel Prize. So the criteria here is very similar to the O1. It's actually almost the same. But the way USCIS or Immigration Services adjudicates these, it's very different. So it's much harder to get the green card than the visa, the O1 extraordinary ability visa. So again, the criteria: evidence of receipt of national or international, award of national or international importance, evidence of membership in associations, where you have to be invited. It cannot be something where, you know, I just sign up online, pay 20 bucks and I become a member. You actually have to be invited based on your accomplishments in your field. Evidence that you have been a judge, the work of others. You know, it could be, you know, it could be a judge for a startup. It could be a judge in school. It could be if you've reviewed papers for journals. You know, that could be used to satisfy this criteria. Evidence of your original scientific, scholarly, or business-related contribution in the field, evidence of authorship of scholarly articles, evidence of your work has been displayed at artistic exhibition or showcases. Obviously, you know, this is more for the artists, but if you have a lot of conferences that you have presented at, we can use that to show basically to satisfy the showcase requirement, because technically, if you're in front of people and you're sharing your expertise, that's kind of, you're showcasing what you know and what you've accomplished. So there's an argument there. Evidence of your performance of leading or critical role in distinguished organizations, and evidence of high salary. And the last one, it's only for the artist. So these are the requirements. You have to satisfy 3 out of the 10 for when it comes to the green card. It's recommended that you actually satisfy at least 5. So this is, but it is an option. And actually we currently have clients that are in the IT industry that have actually achieved some kind of notoriety in their field, and they're trying to, you know, to apply for this type of, for this type of green card. I think that's my last slide. And here's my information. If you have any questions, or if there are any questions in the chat, you know, I will be happy to address. Obviously, I didn't cover all U.S. immigration. There's other, other types of visas, but I think that's for, for the next.